went onto this date. So it's going to be more like a story time, but I'm equally going to be sharing with you guys these tips. I went on this one particular date that rubbed me off the wrong way. I went on this date, and clearly the guy had never been with a woman of color like myself. And I guess I was probably maybe the first woman of color he had been with, like in terms of going on a date with. And let's just say it was a bit awkward, but of which I understand. Sometimes it is harder to put yourself out there in spaces where you're interacting with individuals of a different ethnic group or a different, culture altogether. And sometimes it may be uncomfortable because you don't really know the right things to say and you don't know how best to behave around them. And you maybe are not able to be yourself in that particular instance, right? So I'm going to be sharing with you guys what not to do on a date with someone who is of a different ethnic group or a different culture. You have interest in dating outside your culture. You have interest in dating outside your ethnic group. I guess these tips are going to help you. I'm basing them off of my personal experience. So something that I noticed that this man did, and he was older. When it comes to older, I mean like a couple of years older in comparison to myself. But I found him staring a lot at me. So he was looking at me with an eye of curiosity, but I felt like he was looking too deep, like he was searching to find something. It made me feel rather uncomfortable. He looked so hard, like he was searching for something in my soul. So tip number one, tip number one, guys, when you go out with someone of a different culture or a different ethnic group altogether, don't oversteer. Because when you oversteer at that particular person, you make them feel uncomfortable. Even if your intentions are pure, or even if you're coming from a place of curiosity. Because when I looked at him, it seemed like he came from a place of curiosity, and he was also a bit nervous. But it equally made me nervous, because I was like, okay, what the heck is going on here? So try not to oversteer. You can look at the person, glance at whatever it is you're eating or you're drinking, or glance around, or find a particular thing, maybe a hair strand or whatever that it is that you're going to glance at. Don't over pierce, like in terms of like looking into their eyes or whatever, because then it just makes you look weird. Because in my head, I'm wondering, are we okay? I hope we're not like some sort of psychopath or whatever, So yeah. Number 2, try to avoid conversations that you are not very informed about when it comes to their culture. So I found that on this date, this particular individual was curious about the fact that I am an African, and I guess that I come from Africa, but they're not really educated on what Africa is, what Africa holds, or how Africa is in general. And we had a conversation, but they came from a very uneducated point of view. They still have, I guess, maybe olden context of what Africa is. They still have mediocre beliefs of what Africa is. And that left me feeling a bit off. It took me aback. But I thank God I took the time to educate them. And I guess it did help. And I understand. Sometimes people lack information. So if you know you are not really educated on a topic, don't discuss it. Because I noticed immediately I began to educate him on, what Africa is, and on my culture, particularly on the fact that I am, an African woman and all that, and what we stand for, our belief systems, and how, I guess, society has played on our interactions and all that. They got to be taken aback. I could tell. But the fact that he was very uneducated about where I'm from and decided to give his 2 cents. I'm not trying to insult him, but the fact that he gave his 2 cents made me a little disinterested. So if you know you're uninformed, avoid the topic altogether. Avoid having that conversation. The other thing you should avoid doing when you're meeting someone for the first time, be it different ethnic group, be it same ethnic group, avoid being touchy-feely. You don't know me. You don't know what it is. You don't know my story. You don't know if I'm okay with you putting your hand on my knee or on my shoulder. Avoid being touchy-feely altogether. I don't care if you are of the same group. I don't care if you feel that's the way that you show affection. Keep your affection to yourself. Keep your hands to yourself. Okay? So I'm basing this off of this one date, and it's in no way or form me trying to bash the person. And actually coming from a space where I'm like, oh my god, there must be a lot of other people out there who are actually doing exactly the same thing, because they're now placed in new environments, in new spaces. And I know the touchy-feely thing cuts across the board. There are certain people who will do it to their own ethnic group. There are certain people who will do it to their own tribe. There are certain people who are just touchy-feely in general. But when you're meeting a person for the first time, don't be touchy-feely. Avoid. In fact, you know what? This tip's cut across the board. And as much as we are talking about different religions, different ethnic groups, different cultures, it applies. Like, this information cuts across the board. These rules, whatever it is I'm sharing, I'm sure you guys can tell I'm wheezing. My sinuses are up. There's nothing I can do about it. Let's live with it, okay? These rules cut across the board. Don't be touchy-feely. Don't have conversations you shouldn't be having. Don't oversteer at the person, you know? Like, don't, okay? Another thing is, don't try to get them because you're so uncomfortable or you are so nervous, rather. You try to, like, get to, get them to drink a lot more, and you're drinking a lot more in order to make them feel comfortable. I personally don't drink on the first date, and if I do drink, I will have maybe one glass of wine and that's it. But when a person is constantly trying to, like, fill my glass, that brings a sense of concern or a sense of worry. So when you go out on the date for a first time with whoever it is that you're going out on a date with for the very first time, if they tell you they're not drinking or they don't want to drink, respect that. If they tell you they're only going to have one drink or they tell you, no, I'm okay, respect that. Because then I'm wondering, like, okay, why is this person trying to get me drunk? I don't know you like that. You don't know me like that. There's no reason why you should be all up in my space and trying to get me drunk. I get it. Because you're trying to get comfortable. You're trying to ensure that we're both comfortable. But the only person you should be worried about right now is you. Ensuring you present yourself in the best way forward. And don't try to be all up in this other person's space. They don't need you like that. They don't know you like that. Don't do that. So another thing that I noticed on this particular date that I went on, we have two different religious backgrounds. We believe in two totally different religious beliefs. And oh my God, I personally felt that was the highlight. That was the point where I was like, I am over this date. I don't want to go on this date anymore. I don't want to date this person anymore. And I think they noticed my body language changed. They noticed I became more tensed out. They noticed I wasn't quite responsive. They noticed I was in shock. If you hold different religious beliefs, it doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are. It doesn't matter what you believe in or what you stand for. Don't shove your beliefs down another person's throat. Yes. Now, this is me coming to you, as I should. Don't shove your beliefs up another person's throat. Keep your beliefs to yourself. Keep those personal beliefs to yourself, especially if you know your beliefs are going to go against the other person's beliefs and you're going to talk negatively about what they believe in. I have no problem with you sharing a little about your personal beliefs. That's okay. But if your beliefs stand against the other person's beliefs, if you're going to undermine the other person's belief system or insult their belief system and their religion, then to me that just tells me you're shallow, you're weird, you're self-centered, and you have no sense of grounding. You are off the face of the earth in general, and there's no reason for a person to deal with such a person. We are all entitled, especially in this day and age, to our own personal beliefs, our own expressions. That's why even though I'm Christian, I will never shove my beliefs down another person's throat. I may suggest what I know, and I end there. And I'll leave it open. It's up to you to take it or not to take it. But you do not expect me to believe in what you believe in. And you do not expect that you're going to move me or change my belief system based on what you believe in. So when you got on these dates, you hold two different belief systems. Keep your belief systems to yourself. Don't go out there telling your date what you believe in to a point where you make them feel uncomfortable, especially if you ask them about their personal beliefs. Let them believe in what they believe in. You can share a little about your belief system and keep it moving. Okay? Good. Another thing, when you're going out on a date with someone you're simply just meeting, be it's the very first time and you know you're nervous, sometimes it's important to actually just put it out there and state it that, hey, look, I'm a little nervous. You could even state that it's your very first time. I think a person is going to handle you with a little bit more grace. I like you acting out all the way, keeping up appearance, acting as though you have, dated out of your culture, dated out of your ethnic group, or whatever, because it's still going to be telling that you haven't. So if you know you haven't, if you want the person to handle you with a little bit more grace, to be more patient with you, just state it. You lose nothing. It actually helps because the person will understand you a little bit better. The person will understand where you're coming from a little bit better. The person will understand why you're the way you are, or why you're nervous, or why you're behaving the way you are later. At that particular time. Because if you come and tell me after, because now I'm not interested, I don't care to know you, I don't care to converse with you, and you're now telling me, oh, it's because, I don't care. I don't want to see you after that. You've already left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm already unimpressed. Okay? So yeah, don't do that. If you want to help yourself, be forthcoming. Tell the truth. Or you can find other ways, or say, I'm not normally used to this. If you don't want to say it downright that you've never dated outside your culture or whatever. Because I know sometimes it's difficult. You may be interested in dating everybody, or you may be interested in a specific group or whatever it is, or you may be just curious or whatever. I personally don't have issues with people, ethnic groups or whatever, but I know there are people who maybe their cultures or whatever or traditions don't allow them to date outside of who they are or their culture, and maybe just the community doesn't accept that, and now you're trying to be rebellious, or you just feel like now is the time where I really want to do what I want to do, I want to date who I want to date, and now you're awkward about it. It makes it a little bit more difficult if you're going to come or going to that situation uninformed. That's why I felt I should share this video. This video does not come from a bad place. It comes from a place of love. It comes from a place where I feel people need to be educated to avoid making other people feel awkward, to avoid making other people feel out of place, and also to help you get the best results, especially if you really like the person. Because I can tell this person probably did like me. They did try to make themselves seem better after, but it was already too late because the damage was already done. But I don't hold any ill against them, but I feel like that's the best way you can help yourself. So that being said, that is all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My next video will probably be about dating for those who are new or who don't know how to go on first dates and all that kind of stuff. I'll probably do a video about that. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, turn on the beautiful bell notification. I am your sister, and I am here for you. Just remember, comment section open for a discussion. Love you guys to the moon and back.